Hello, hello, hello. I am back again. See, I told you I'd be consistent. I'm here yet another week talking music. Update, life update. I keep cracking my screen. Yeah. Will I get a screen protector? I don't know. Let's find out. For some reason, I just don't buy them, even though I drop my phone all the time. Anyway, what else have I been up to? Okay, so last Friday, I went to the Kneecap live stream show. For those who don't know, Kneecap cannot enter the US. So instead of performing live for the audience in New York, they instead did a live stream of them performing, I believe, in Ireland. And concert goers, we all packed into the King's Theatre in Brooklyn and watched them perform. Given they weren't allowed into the country for very good reasons for standing their ground on Palestine, everyone really made it work. You know, the crowd that I was around, everyone was super fun, everyone was dancing, everyone was bopping around, everyone just wanted to have a good time. And the lads did really well too. I know it must have felt awkward to be like, yeah, let me hear you, and then hear a ah like 30 seconds after, but we made it work. That was a fun little night for me. One thing, I'll also get it. I thought this was quite generous, but we all got posters as well for free. So it says, the revolution will be televised. It obviously has images of the lads. I thought that was a nice touch and quite generous. I don't know if they always do this at their concerts, but I just thought that was cool. Anyway, that's about it for updates. I wanted to get into something very, very cool. I have a local bar and almost every night they host musicians. So samba artists, Latin artists, jazz, funk, all the good stuff, all the things that I loved and that I didn't get to see growing up in so-called Australia. I'm always checking for updates with this bar to see who's playing. Last week on a Saturday night, you know, I'm scrolling through, I'm like, okay, I've got nothing to do on a Saturday night. Let me see what this bar's doing. I read, it says, Fred Thomas, James Brown's bassist of 35 years. James Brown's bassist? I thought to myself, I don't know why I'm suddenly telling a story. And I said, oh, Cass, you have to go. You have to go. So I make it an effort. Even though I had to wait 2 hours outside, that's another story. Eventually I got inside and that was the best show I had seen in a very, very long time. Wow. There's obviously great musicians at that bar every night, but you could just tell the difference. You could hear the experience, decades and decades and decades of experience. Tracks. They played Soul Power, which got everyone moving, but what really settled the deal was when Thomas closed with Sex Machine. Everyone was moving, the bartenders were moving, the people were moving. I was trying to film at the same time as dancing. Like I think the camera was just like moving from side to side. And watching the show and just looking at this man, I was just like, wow, he is a walking history book. This man is a part of such an important part of music history, Black history, and just history in general. And so I just thought this week I could talk about Fred Thomas, talk about the JBs, which was James Brown's band, hence JBs, and thought I could talk about his influence in other genres and his influence more broadly. Because, you know, I'm quite serious about my history, but also I just really want to honor these people who deserve it, especially while they're still here. So yeah. So Fred Thomas joined the JBs in 1971 after Bootsy Collins and Catfish Collins left James Brown's band. So there's some tea. From what I remember, James Brown would say like Bootsy was just a little kid, not a little kid, but Bootsy was younger, he wanted to have fun, he was less serious about the music. When I read things about Bootsy Collins and him talking about James Brown, it kind of sounds like maybe they're just a bit mismatched. Like he's quoted in saying, I was playing stuff I don't think James Brown understood. He told me, you have to play the one, you're playing too much. James Brown knows exactly what he wants, and Bootsy Collins, this young bassist, you know, wants to do all the things, and I can see how that just didn't end up working in the long run. And now, knowing the artist that Bootsy Collins is, it totally makes sense that he went to George Clinton. It totally makes sense why he was never going to be able to make I'd Rather Be With You or Fat Cat playing for James Brown. Like, I need to talk about Bootsy Collins because I love that man. He feels like a funk uncle to me. And I don't even know him, but he just feels like uncle. Anyway, so the Collins brothers leave in 1971, and later in the year, Fred Thomas joins the band. Played on hits like Hot Pants, Papa Don't Make No Mess, Make It Funky, Get on the Good Foot, and Doing It to Death. And Fred Thomas played for James Brown from 1971 all the way up until James Brown's death in 2006. 35 years for someone like James Brown. You have to have the skill, you have to have the discipline, you have to show up. That says a lot about Fred Thomas. Obviously, James Brown, mega superstar, everyone's copying him, but the JBs also have their influence, right? Other artists are listening to the music and gathering inspiration from that. I'll read a quote here from the book Funk, the Music, the People, and the Rhythm of the One by Ricky Vincent. One could hear the swanging, brassy riffs the JBs pioneered in the big band funk sessions of Kool and the Gang and the Tower of Power. The fusion experiments of Earth, Wind and Fire and Miles Davis, the grooving black rock of Mandrill and War, and the Afro-pop workouts of Mongo and Santa Maria. One thing was certain, black music would never be the same. But the thing is, the influence of the JBs doesn't end there. It goes beyond the 70s, it goes beyond the 80s and falls into hip hop. So as you probably all know, because you all like music, hip hop comes in the late 70s and 80s, and through sampling of old funk records and of old disco records, they're able to rhyme over the beats. And a lot of songs from the JBs were sampled. For example, Pass the Peas, I Ain't No Joke. The Grunt, Protect Your Neck. Give Me Some More, God Lives Through. So not only are they influencing their contemporaries, they're the pillars of an entirely new genre. That's that broader impact. And that's what I realized seeing Fred Thomas in real life. So that's what I just wanted to talk about and wanted to honor. More often than not, we forget about artists that have contributed so much to art. And so I just wanted to let people know about Fred Thomas. Some other things I liked about the show is that he had the crowd laughing. You can see the showmanship. Now the question is, did I get to speak to him? Did I go up and talk to him? No, I do not do that. Like, I get too shy. I was raised in a way like you don't speak unless you're spoken to type beat. So I wasn't gonna be like, hey, what about me? What about me? But I kind of wish I did say something. But all I would have said is thank you. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you for this show in this bar. Thank you for your time, but also thank you for what you have meant to music and what you continue to mean to music. You're a legend, Fred Thomas.